All right. I think we're, I think I got the mic working too, hopefully. Hopefully I don't sound like a robot or anything weird. Just gonna let a few people flow in. And then maybe we'll get going. Evening, good morning. Come on in, say good morning. Or afternoon, or evening, wherever you are. I see you, Joseph. All right, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are in the world. I hope you're doing well. It's Monday morning here, U.S., looking to trade the New York session. And I think we're ready to kind of get into some things here. Let me get this pulled up. Here we go. All right, so I've got paint up. Just as a reminder for everybody here that have probably watched me do this a million times, but it's always good to review every single day, before going into a session and things. And, just for the purpose of seeing it over and over again, I think it's good. Where do these trade setups come from? What are we actually looking for the large 3-day picture? We're looking for large 3-day buildups. Basically 3-bar patterns, 4-bar patterns on a daily chart that we can look for opportunities. Basically templates. We're looking for things that have, built up in order for us to trade on the current day. So we're looking for breakouts, pullbacks, trends, breakouts, reversals, things going from one side of a range to the other, or things that are breaking out and expanding a range in a direction. So if we're looking at a previous day's high and low, everything is based off of those levels. The 3-day templates, everything is based off of a previous day's high and low. And that's really where, 3 things that happen from those levels can be failed breakouts. You can have a breakout, a pullback, and a trend. You can have a breakout that breaks out and fails over the course of 2 days. And then from that, you'll get like first green days or first red days. And then now we're trading from one end of the range back towards the other side of the week. So now today, right now, currently is Monday. What levels do I have to go off of that I should be paying attention to? Every single Monday, it's the exact same thing. Really, every single day, you've got the previous day's high and low. If we're a little bit later in the week, it could be like what was the highest close or the lowest close within that week, especially when you're looking at 3-day rectangles and things like that. Or the previous week's high and low. Those are the levels that we're really paying attention to. So over the course of 3 days, we're looking for things that have created a range. We could have a breakout that goes and is an inside bar. So you'd have like a breakout day, something like this, and then you have an inside day, and then on the 3rd day, you have the expansion of the range in a direction. You could even have a failed breakout on this day where they stair step it back up. Maybe you're at the high of the current week, and then you get a reversal trade if that presents. So, like I said, today is a no news Monday. I have to look at the previous day's high and low, so the high and low of Friday. I need to look and see how did Friday, right? If I refer to yesterday, today, I'm talking about Friday. Was Friday a failed breakout? Was Friday, a successful breakout? Where's the high and low of the week? Do we have some sort of signal day that from Friday that can lead us into a trade today? So let's go and take a look at the NASDAQ first. And we're going to go through and find, I'll say find, but I'm really just talking about, looking for signals and looking for what should I be looking for today on each of these pairs. And then I'll let you all, of course, give me some options as well, and I'll go through for you. I don't trade anything else other than what I have up on the screen, but I'd be happy to go through for you all as well. All right, so the NASDAQ, remember from Friday, we were looking for this rollover that happened in the afternoon. They had a breakdown, a lower low, and a revisit of the high which I have hit on quite a bit about whenever there's a new extreme formed, they're always going to go back to the other side to see, is it capable of going higher? So for example, it made this low, it went lower. Okay, we are capable of going lower. Are we capable of continuing to go higher? And that's where you get your double top, really a triple top, and then it breaks down. So this is kind of the market saying, hey, I was capable of going down. I'm not capable of going up. Okay, let's try to go back down again. And then now that leads us into today, right? So we had this afternoon session trade that I did not take part in because we all traded together on Friday. And obviously I was in the session over here and not able to trade in the afternoon. So today we've got 3 days of breakouts minimum from Friday. Now there's things called extended runs where markets will go 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, multiple days in a row. So just because you have 3 days of breakouts does not necessarily mean that it's going to go down. I always want to be looking for, so like, for example, Friday was the signal. Then today I would be looking for structurally, are we still making higher highs and higher lows? Because this is meant to be a reversal setup. If we're going higher, making higher highs and higher lows, and we are continuing to not make lower lows and lower highs, then I know not to take that trade or even look on that pair or instrument to execute. So looking from earlier in the day, it looks like on a 5-minute chart, that's where I like to do my little structural analysis, if you will. We've been going higher. We've been making higher highs and higher lows. On a 5, they did break down and make a lower low, and now they've gone back to the high. So this is going to put us into consolidation. No sound. Have we lost the sound? Does anybody else not have sound? Okay. Hate to tell you, AX, but I think it might be you. All right, so we've been making higher highs, higher lows. They broke down. They did make a lower low here. So all this is going to do, don't make this a super complicated situation. It's really just a matter of, hey, there was 3 days of breakouts. They have made a lower low. They put us back into consolidation now. Here's the lower low here. They've gone back to the high and made a higher high. So now what we're doing is we're just sitting in between a high and a low. What I would have to do for this, we've broken down, we've attempted to go higher. They were successful. So does that mean that it can't continue to go higher? It absolutely can. But now it's eligible. I'm capable now of watching this to see if it starts to break down. We're at the high of the current week. We're at the high of the previous week. We've had 3 days of breakouts. We have a lower low. This is something that I at least would like to watch. Will I actually execute on it? I have no idea. But I'd at least like to watch. Okay. Let's go to US 30. I'm going to go back to a 15-minute chart here so that things... I can look at the overall picture a little bit better. Right, at least 3 days of breakouts, similar to the NASDAQ. And today as well, we've already broke out. We've got 3 sessions of breakout. They have not even retested the previous day's high, which is good. Has it started to break down? That's really the question that I need to ask myself, because this exact same thing happened on the NASDAQ, right, on Friday, where they had broke down like this, but then they just kept going later in the day. So, of course, we could just sit here in consolidation. No news. Maybe we're just going to sit in a box. But we've gone up, highest close. It's engulfed. It's pulled back in a few bars, so this could be considered a low. And then we've broke down and possibly made a lower low. So similar to the NASDAQ, we're kind of just sitting down here in between a high and a low. Not necessarily looking to take action on this. But if they trade back up into the high of the day or something like that, if we got 1, 2, maybe 3 going back up, and then 9:30, it's almost 9:30 right now. If it continues to break down, I won't be surprised. All right, gold. I'm not going to hurry up, but we've only got 5 minutes left till the open, and I'd like to be present for that. So, okay, gold. We've had Looks like we've been going down, market go down. We had our first red day on last Thursday, breakout day one continuing to go lower. Anytime I have a day that's closed in breakout, I always like to label that breakout level because we could trade back up 3 levels back up there, kind of like a breakout pullback scenario. So I just like to label that just to be aware that it's there. Okay, now on the day, we've also triggered previous day's low. And that being said, they have pumped it back up into the high. Now they broke the high as well, so they've made a higher high. But on a daily scale, on a daily level, we have been making lower lows and lower highs. So really, I'd be fine with either. But I definitely want to be aware that on the day, they've made this higher high. Because this could be a breakout. I want to make sure that my setup's actually showing up. Okay, and then we're going to scoot this bad boy over. There we go. And we've kind of got a little of a 1, 2, 3 coming back down as well. So curious, but I'm not really 100% sure. Okay, the Russell. I think I was looking at the Russell earlier and it looked interesting. Yeah, so it was from Friday. Friday we had the 3 sessions of breakout. Broke down again in the afternoon. Going vertical back down. And that really is, again, going to put us in between a high and a low. Very similar to everything else. This could be a bit of a reset, right? We've made a lower low. And I think we had 3 days going up. One, at least 2, right? So we've got these 2 here, but maybe 3. And broke down, made a lower low, but you know, in fact, I'll just label that just to remind myself. This could be also a bit of a reset where we've come up, we've started to break higher. So if they go back to the high and start to break out higher, of course, that could be the other side. I definitely need to be paying attention to both. Okay, but we'll see. We got 2 minutes to the open. Okay, is oil still in that box that I was talking about on Friday? Yeah. Okay, so oil looks like we've broken a little bit lower down here, and we could, of course, continue to break lower again, but we're still sitting in this big box. So I need to kind of wait for it to come out of there. Okay, so I'm going to put NASDAQ top left, US 30 to be top right. Put gold down in the bottom left. And I think I'm going to probably just keep oil off the screen, and I'll put the Russell bottom right. You all should be able to see my face isn't too much in the way, I'm hoping. Okay, and then from this I should be able, just by looking at the levels, know kind of what I'm talking about on each one. You know, what were my notes? What am I looking for? What am I waiting for? Good morning. Showed up late this morning. Euro USD, 3 days of rise, consolidating. Can we dissect? Yes, absolutely. Mike, we've got 1 minute to the open. Let's just see how this first minute of the New York Open, and then I'll go to it. And I'll go to the Australian dollar CAD as well. Okay, we're getting quite a bit of volatility, which is good. My computer's a little frozen from it, actually. All the traffic, I guess. Slow my computer down. Saying dollar CAD instead of Aussie CAD. All right. Give me a few seconds here. I'm gonna sit and watch this. How it opens. You know, there's times when I'll take trades in the first 5 minutes of the open. But I think more frequently, you know, that's kind of the question I get a lot as well. Is, you know, you say you want to trade after 9:30. Is it like right at 9:30, or is it, you know, a little bit after? And I'd say more often than not, you know, I'll wait at least 5 minutes after. But I think probably 10 minutes after is more frequent. Joseph, you're saying pound Australian? Okay. Okay. This is looking good. I still think that waiting is a decent option. Just obviously to let the initial volatility of the first 5 play out. I'm liking what I'm seeing though. You know, we've got details, we've got things pointing towards something, and then the trade possibly or potentially actually following through and doing what we're expecting. I'm really liking the Russell. All right. Let me hurry up and get to some of these that you all have said. Dollar CAD. I'm going to put this up in the top right. This is a 5. I'll go to a 15. Okay, dollar CAD possibly. This could be a higher high. We got peak low and a higher high. Maybe a first green day. Oh, this has been going up and now it's maybe going down. I think this could turn into a 3-day setup. Peak formation low, peak formation high. I don't know about for today though. Pound, what is that, pound Australian? Oh, that is beautiful, Joseph. Very nice. First red day didn't follow through, but it made the lower low and then popped it back up. Lower lows, lower highs on the day and a follow through. Yep, real good. Aussie CAD. Oh wait, never mind. That's the one you were saying. Okay. All right, let's go back to what we were looking at here. Okay, still waiting to see if the first 5 how it plays out. Hey, so this is looking really good. All right, don't get me wrong. I like the fact that I kind of had a bit of a short bias because of the 3 days of breakouts and the lower low, and then the fact that the open is now dumping like this, like that. That's good. One thing I'll say is that this is a very large entry bar if I was going to enter off of this, so I need to be very careful. If this bar does this, you know, what is it breaking out of? It's reaching for the low of the day. It's reaching for closing price. Do I just enter in on this huge down close bar with very large potential for them to wick up, or maybe not even wick up? Maybe they just go right back up, trap everybody at the low in reverse. So whenever I get these really large entry bars like this, you know, on a trade setup like this, where, you know, it's got potential to go to previous day's low. I might be a little bit more willing to be less aggressive. You know, I'm going to wait and see, you know, this next bar, how does it look? Does it break down and go sideways for a bar? Does it break down and just follow through? Does it break down and then, you know, go vertical to the upside, which would tell me that they're trapping shorts? I'm a little bit more likely to just, you know, play it safe, look for the momentum move, but also, you know, let them come down for a bar. We're right at the open. They've broken down. Are they going to go sideways? That's what I would prefer. I'd prefer for them to go sideways. It's like a little micro pullback, whatever. And then I can possibly get in on the follow through continuation if it shows up. Okay, so a big thing with US 30, you'll have heard me talk about base, space, and room to fall through. We did have a bit of a base and a little bit of space to fall through. A lot of times with this setup, I like to get in when it's still up high. Just because, oh man, this new 5-minute bar opened and they just ripped it down. Because the previous day's high is meant to be the take profit, or at least the first one. See on the Russell, are we down? Are we down at the low of the day? Pretty close too, right? Yeah, and we're at the previous day's close. Don't want to get tunnel vision, so I'm gonna, let's see here. What is gold doing? Gold had this higher high, which, you know, potentially, at least here on a 5, they've come up, they broke down 2 more bars, they've came back up to the high. I keep watching this one. And like I said, so we've broken down. US 30, they've already hit my, which would have been or should have been my first target. So I think I'm probably a lot less likely to take something on that. They've already, you know, they broke down, they made a lower low, they popped it back up and ran the low again. So that could have been second leg US 30. Joseph, you said second leg on something else, right? Oh, you said, someone said Euro USD. We broke down, we got a little whipsaw back and forth. 1 minute left on this bar. And DAX. Okay. Second leg DAX. Gotcha. Gotcha. Wow. Oh, that's really clean too. Very clean. Wonder if this has turned into a snowplow. We've cleared everything out. Now we're ready to push down again. Watching, I've got a 1 minute chart up on my other screen. Waiting to see if we get any engulfment. we're back in a consolidation. Looking like. The Nasdaq has also came down now. Remember, I was talking before we started, before the open. You know, we made this higher high. Now we would need to break down and make a lower low, and they've done that, which is nice to see. 3 days of breakouts. They've made a lower low. That's good. So we got another one possibly fitting the bill. Achieving. Fulfilling some characteristics that I want to see. How are you all doing? Anybody in anything? Anybody decided to take anything off the open? It's a no news Monday. So basically anything, any setups that show up now, basically after the open, I'll be willing to take. Peak to peak, dump and pump on NASDAQ. Maybe. Please check pound dollar. Okay. See, we got a breakout close and a first red day. And then today we've got 3 peaks, a lower low, and a pop-up. We got a lower low. They popped it back up. What time is this? This is a bit earlier. This is kind of where, realistically, now we've gone back into consolidation and compressed at the level. I'd be, if it was me personally, I'd be mighty cautious. It is. Yeah, every movement. Because that's just a fancy term for the market breaks out, it pulls back. The pullback is the dump for a pump. Whenever a new structural level is created, whether it be in a trend, so you're making higher highs and higher lows consistently, every time it makes a new higher high, the pullback is the dump for a pump. Now, whether that's on a larger scale over the course of 3 days or on the day itself, that's kind of what we have to make a decision about. Okay, I'm still watching the Russell on my other screen. I'm peeking through. I'm kind of seeing a little bit of a very strong down close. 1, 2, 3. The Russell is my number one choice right now, just because we've broken out of the low of the day. I think by a little bit, by just a little bit. Maybe not even necessarily the low of the day, but this higher low. Kind of got a box of volume up top. That would have to be my thesis going into this. However, if they broke down now, so what I'm looking at, what I'm paying attention to on the Russell specifically is the way that this came down after the open. So we got the 1 minute before, big down close bar, get everybody's attention, and then a pause candle, and then 2, and then 3. I want to make sure that I'm not entering in as a short, and this is just coming down here and going into consolidation, and possibly or potentially trapping everybody. I'm going to wait for the confident move, something that I feel like I have a little bit more probability with. I've ran out of water. unfortunate, actually. Isn't it the same for US 30? Also broke below. So kind of. US 30 is resting on top of previous day's high. So I'm not necessarily confident that we're going to break down backbound, over here, because if that were to happen, this would be turning into a failed breakout at the high of the week. We might be going back down towards, over here, which would be a great trade. But I just don't know. That's really what I would be waiting for, is to kind of help confirm that. Right now, it kind of seems to be everything's doing the opposite. We broke out, we pulled back. This looks like maybe we're turning into a long, like a short squeeze sort of setup coming off the low. But I don't know. I'm just best guess on what I'm seeing. All right, the Russell, if you look on a 1 minute chart, we've gone into a bit of a little Dorito here. Back into consolidation. At a 1 bar range on NQ. Between this bar's high and low, we're just sitting on the inside there. Right back to watching paint dry. Okay, the bars were dragging lower. The bars themselves are making lower highs. Because I only trade the New York session AX, so it's kind of like, I'm looking at the time right now. It's 9:49, so I know that I'm in that box. I don't necessarily need to have the boxes up there, but I do have very quick ability to do that if I need to. I can just do like this. That's all. I like to keep things like as simple as I can on my screen. I like to have as little things on my screen as possible. Okay, so we've got a large down close bar that is broken lower, which is momentum. It should be, right? That's what the market's telling me. It's trying aggressively to go lower. Is it going to be capable of doing so, or are we trapping at the lows? Bob Marley says, "Here we go." Maybe. Oh, I'm gonna skip these ads for y'all. Right, so the window begins at 8. I just personally don't execute trades until after 9:30. But the window begins at 8. Yep. It's struggling. We're still on a 1. Pop back up here real quick. So on the Russell, notice how we're in a 1 bar. This 1 bar is high and low. And we've been sitting on the inside of that for 5, 10. We're into 20 minutes now of sitting in between that bar's high and low. That's interesting. Market's been doing this so frequently lately where, as far as timing goes, coming into the open, they'll make this large move, and then right after the open is some kind of manipulation leg that just puts you right back into consolidation immediately. Right after the open. It's been fairly consistently doing that now for the past few weeks. Yeah, exactly. Like it's just like they dropped us into the move to get everybody shorting, and then immediately goes back into consolidation. The only thing that's not really doing that is gold. Gold made the higher high and has pulled back in sort of a 3-leg pattern. We might be going back to the high of the day on gold. I don't know. And that's fine. I'm not really willing to take that. Okay, we're still sitting on the inside of this bar's high and low. US 30 is closed a little bit lower, but just barely. We're mainly on the inside of this bar's high and low. And it's sitting in the side of that range. NASDAQ has gone a little bit lower. Not by much. Has 20 minutes now. We've sat on the inside of this bar high and low for 20 minutes. So it's not necessarily that I'm looking for I'll call it a certain type of candle, Matthew. I was waiting for it to break down and go sideways, because pretty much anytime a market breaks out or breaks down, it's going to go sideways, either for some sort of pullback or some sort of retest or whatever. And I look to get on the momentum on the follow through. So I was down. I have a 1-minute chart open on my other screen. The way that this bar pulled back, I would have said, hey, that fulfills the breaking down and going sideways. The only issue is there wasn't continued momentum immediately after. This bar is very large. It's a very large down closed bar. So like I was saying earlier, I like to wait for this sideways bar to try and get in on a lower time frame to try and kind of snipe a better entry. Keep my stops a little bit smaller. But there was no momentum, there was no follow through, so I stayed out. Hopefully that answers your question. I know it's kind of a long explanation. Basically, I would have looked for momentum bars or strong breakout bars showing continuation to the downside. Bars that are immediately, they pop back up. If they immediately go into consolidation and then break back down, so they would have to engulf or close lower than some of these up close bars. That's kind of what I would have been looking for. I think that probably more directly answers what you're asking. Oh, wrong pipe. Yikes. No News Monday. A lot of times you can expect with a No News Monday, you can expect a lot of trades in the first hour, number one. You can expect a lot of trades to happen before the New York Open. Or you can expect, and this is probably, excuse me, a lot more frequent for No News Monday to have no solid trade because there's not as much volume, there's not as much momentum, there's not as much, markets breaking out and trending and things like that. I would say No News Monday is a proceed with extreme caution. And this is exactly why. This is, I like doing these live streams and being able to execute trades and explain trades and things like that. But I would say that on days like today, I might still get a trade. I don't know. But I think the best lesson, I guess, that we could explain or I could talk about is just, knowing what you're looking for and explain, why. And then what are your cautions? Why are you going into a certain situation a certain way? I'm playing today very cautiously and being very mindful of consolidations, the high and low of bars, right? So I've noticed, hey, they're holding in the inside of a range. They're holding on the inside of a range. I'm paying attention to those things more today because it's a No News Monday. All right. I expect volatility to be low. And I expect when there is volatility, there's a high potential that they're just trapping to go back into, a consolidated state. Typical trade duration. I would say it ranges from 2 to 3 minutes to, 30 minutes. Very rarely, I would say that I hold something longer than 30 minutes to an hour. Even an hour is kind of I'm really pushing it. I really like those ones. Whenever you get into something and then, over the course of 3 minutes, it gets really volatile and just explodes, 100 points or however much, in those couple of minutes, those are really the best ones. 3-day breakout in gold today. Yeah, I guess. Okay, so this came down. We're still sitting in a bars range. We got this high and low. They're just holding it on the inside of there. We have an up closed bar. And then we have a down closed bar that has closed higher than this bar's close. So now they're going back down, which is not in line with what I was just talking about. They're basically letting the shorts out, which is interesting. I've still got my 1 minute chart up on my other screen. I mean, I'm not going to be the one to tell you if it's okay or not. I would say that if you saw it, Magee, you said today's 3 days of breakouts in gold, and you say, hey, this is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for it to make a higher high. I'm looking for it to pull back and engulf at a certain time, and that's how you executed. Then, heck yeah. Did it fit your entry criteria? Did you follow your own rules? Did you execute and manage accordingly? How was your performance? Did you do all the things that you said you were going to do? Check out DAX. Okay. Let's go take a look. Oh, what am I doing? Nice. Just, were you executing on this? Markets that are out of balance can stay out of balance. They sure can. They sure can. They can also re-enter areas of value. Good stuff, Joseph. Good stuff. It really, hey, so AX, it's going to be a lot easier if I sit here and explain it through me just, speaking. It's going to be tough. I would just go Google how the point system works and then compare that to if you've been trading Forex and you're doing pips, figure out what the difference is for a tick, a point, or a pip. And it'd be a lot easier. I'd be happy to explain it, but it's just one of those things. It's kind of a pain. Okay, again, so another reason to notice these ranges, right? You see them flicking this bar down. I know that, yeah, they're flicking it down. It could be perceived as follow through or potential follow through, right? Oh gosh, it's going to go down. But we're still just sitting on the inside of this bar's high and low, and we've been doing that now for 20 minutes. So they're going to manipulate in this range, and you kind of see they're flicking it down into that area and doing all this other stuff. So I gotta make sure that I'm not perceiving bar movement and size as momentum or follow through. It's just not. It's just not. Candle speed, size, those are all part of the trap. Okay, US 30. Interesting. Very nice. Mahia, how did you, I'm probably saying your name wrong, excuse me. How did you identify targets? Were you using high of day, low of day? Were you using expansion of consolidations? Were you, what were you targeting? I don't know what that means, Bob Marley. Oh. First red, first green day? On what? Okay, US 30's falling through a little bit. High Hive session. Okay, so you went from like low of session to hive session. Cool. Very cool. I still have not executed on anything. To be completely honest, I thought that based off of the pattern and based off of how the market opened, I was very interested in the Russell. But this immediate loss of momentum, compare and contrast to some of these others, I think that they're all trapping. Even now, I still think this might still be a trap. But all of the indexes went from, I was like, it's okay, to I'm very not as likely, I think, to execute now. I mean, you can kind of just see how they're ascending the bars now. We're still sitting in this range, but they're trying to go back up. Gains. I don't know which pair you're talking about, but I love to see the enthusiasm. It could be. It could be. Probably, maybe even on a few of the indexes, right? We're in breakout, pullback. Thank you all. Thank you, Joseph. Thank you. Still rocking this consolidation. We've got bars pushing down and closing lower, but we're still in between a high and a low. And out of everything, US 30 was also the one that I liked the least because it came down and hit my target before I could even get in. We've got about 44 of you in here right now. If you do me a favor, like the stream. Greatly appreciate it. I think it helps out a lot more than y'all notice or realize. Appreciate that, Gaines. No, I've been excited. After doing the coming back and doing the stream on Friday, I've been, a little bit more. I think I was feeling a little burnt out from YouTube for a little while, and moving here, I accepted the break or whatever. But now I'm excited to be back. It's been fun hanging out with y'all. It's a lot more entertaining, I think, than just trading by myself. We're all trading buddies. Heck yeah. Iron sharpens, yeah. I like that. Passion breeds passion. Surely. I need to wake up though, I'll tell you that. I need a little bit more. I need some coffee or something. I'm ready to get this workout in. I think I'm supposed to do, I don't have to squat today, which is good. I squat most days of the week, but so the days that I get off, it's like, thank goodness. Yeah, I'm really, Gaines, I'm trying not to speculate which way it's going. I'm just waiting for it to go a certain direction because, so right now, for example, would I be willing to take the long? No. And the reason being is because I'm looking for a certain template, and the template is 3 days of breakouts with a lower low. So I would say, okay, I'm waiting for the pump up so that I can look for the rollover, right? Which is exactly what I'm waiting for on the Russell as well. So it narrows things down for me, and I'm not going to flip and try and trade this way and that way. It's just, if it does it, it does it. If it not, then y'all will have to endure another day of live streams with me where I don't take a trade. On a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you when you sit the screen? I really don't think about it, I don't think. 10 out of 10. I'm 100% confident in myself that I won't make bad decisions. Even if I lose, I still am not going to roll over and make poor decisions. You're going to lose. I'm going to lose. I lose all the time. I just don't spiral. That's the big thing. How's the married life treating you? Better than I could have ever expected or hoped for. My wife is incredible. Thanks for asking. All right, US 30. We just closed another 5-minute bar on the inside of this high and low. So we've been sitting in here for 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 minutes now, just sitting on the inside of this. Are we looking at a ranging session? First 15 minutes of the New York session opening range. We're just sitting on the inside of a high and a low now for 30 minutes. Same thing over here on the Russell. And this is exactly what I was saying. This is a really big down closed bar. Is this the trap? I have to be aware of that. I have to be careful. Whenever you get these super obvious bars, those are the ones that are usually I used to joke about this all the time, but it's very serious. I could sit here and hoot and holler about this, but the most noticeable or the most obvious, the strongest bars on the chart, a lot of times are the trap. And it's perceived as momentum, but it's just like a blow-off move, the final blow-off before the reversal, which is confusing. You would think, well, the bars are getting bigger. There's no way that it's going to reverse. But what's the psychology behind that? Bars are getting really big. People are making and hitting their targets, and then one side starts to take over and then reverses. They're coiling it up for something. Notice how they've consolidated. They dropped it down a level and they went immediately back into consolidation. Those are very frustrating types of days to trade. It's basically just a ranging day. But anytime that they begin or start an impulse leg and they drop it down and they just go immediately back into consolidation, those are they tend to be kind of frustrating. If it's simple to you in hindsight, then there's absolutely no reason that you can't turn it into something simple in real time. You know, how would you simplify what we're doing? Well, the market only does three things. If one of those things is breakout and trend and breakout and reverse, then we need to define what are we breaking out of. Okay, so now we have levels, previous day's high and low. Okay, so you have to understand a few trading concepts like price action. What do bars mean? What are they telling you? What's the chart time? But that's stuff that it's not insanely complicated. You have to understand what templates to look for, but those are really not complicated at all. Market go up, market triggered the other side. That could be a lower low or a higher high. Apply three things markets do. First red and first green day. You know, on the day after those signals presented, if I'm looking for a sell high opportunity, but the market's making higher highs and higher lows, I don't take the trade. If it makes a lower low and then continues to go higher, I don't take the trade. Take care. Market go up, market go down, market go. Yeah, we're turning this into a Dr. Seuss live stream. Good. Really good. Yeah, I could care less about the fundamentals. Because, and the only reason, this is why. I don't want to sound like arrogant or ignorant or whatever. I understand that the macroeconomics of the overall market, you know, points it in a certain direction and it's going to do whatever it's going to do. However, I also understand that you could have a positive news event, but it wasn't as positive as they thought it would be. So then the market goes down. Or you know, just things along that line that I try not to think about the fundamentals because I've seen positive news announcements make the market go down. And I've seen positive news announcements, you know, capitulate the market significantly. And then vice versa. You know, it was a bad news announcement and the market's going up. And you're just like, what does it really mean? But then you look at the chart and it's like, okay, the news capitulated the market, but yesterday was also first red day, and today was set up for that. That just makes a lot more sense. You know, the chart's going to do whatever it's going to do, but it's a lot of times the news just confirms whatever signal was already presenting. Okay, I'm still watching the Russell. Obviously, I'm on a 1 minute chart right now, but they've really just kind of crept it back down into the low. All of these things are just sitting sideways. Nothing is really making considerable moves or anything that would tell me that I should be entering into the market. And we do have this down closed bar. This bar closed up high, and then this one broke out and closed lower than the previous three bars, which is decent. Then we get a pin hammer. This is on the Russell. It just makes me feel like they're really working the low. Let's see, I'm the same. Started March of this year on demo. Last week was my first green week. Heck yeah. That's what I like to hear. Hopefully the first of many. Hopefully the first of many more. Okay, so we've had a fairly large down close bar on the Russell. Good, pretty solid breakout bar. Okay, so what I would like to see is for follow through now at this point. We've consolidated, we've dropped it down. If it reverses from this point at all, there's a good chance this was a fake out. Okay, this is like probably going to turn into a spring and we're going back to the high. And that's okay. But if there's good follow through, then it could be a decent trade. Will I be here tomorrow again? I'm going to try and be here every day this week. I've been enjoying hanging out with y'all. Okay, so we have a breakout. Now this is just a 1 minute chart, but we have a breakout that immediately goes back into consolidation once again. So we've been breaking down, going into consolidation on most of these things, right? Every time it drops down, immediately starts going sideways, which is kind of a red flag. Bit of a creeper, possibly a ranging day. We're at the low of the day now. We're at the previous day's close. There's a good chance that we just hold this close and then it doesn't go any lower. Looking like I'm going to take a 2-point loss here. Yeah. All right, so I took a 2-point loss on that continuation, the follow through. I had a 1 bar stop on a 1 minute chart with no add-ins. I got on minimum size. Sold the close of this bar. One bar stop. I am confident and can explain something worked fully. Okay, so you're still you're trying to figure out, the why behind things. That makes sense. And that's good. I think the why is important because if you don't understand the why, then you're just kind of guessing, I'd say. Like, why didn't this work out? Well, I'd have to chalk it up to, we've been breaking out, making higher highs. They could be trapping at the low of the day, or I'm just a little early, right? It could just be a choppy day. Every time like I said, it breaks down, breaks out. They keep on just putting it into a new consolidation. I could have just fallen victim to that. But I kept my stop so tight, it doesn't really even matter. No big deal. Dog's back there snoring louder than I do. All right, we're approaching 10:30. Still sitting at consolidation, making me pretty worried about executing again. We're trying to. Not a lot of momentum. Yeah, journaling definitely helps. And it's definitely each person specific. You know, what things should you be putting into your journal? Might be getting a squeeze off these lows. They've been consolidating down here for so long. Let's see, when it didn't work, let's see, I do an extreme ownership way. I struggle to differentiate when I made a mistake. Well, so AX, here's the thing. You're going to, like, taking a losing trade doesn't necessarily necessarily mean you made a mistake. My volume is very low. Please turn sound up. Oh boy. Some electronics guy somewhere is yelling at me right now, telling me to. I'm using a guitar stand to try and hold this mic up. There we go. Hopefully it's still working. Can y'all still hear me? Hopefully you can. I'm just going to keep talking. Yeah, so if just because you take a losing trade doesn't mean that you Mr. Mustang? Yeah, of course. If you haven't used it, then absolutely. What was I saying? Geez. Yeah, so like I just executed a trade just now. They started allowing the shorts to make money. Now I didn't wait for a 5-minute closure, and so I would say that if I was going to tell myself, what was the mistake, I would say that's probably it. But I was entering in on a 1-minute chart. So, not necessarily, I waited for this 5-minute closure, and then we had a pin hammer. And then I was getting in on the follow through. I read the situation very well. I told myself, hey, if it drops down and immediately goes back into consolidation, I don't want to be a part of this. So I made sure to put my invalidation, a 1-bar stop on a 1-minute chart. So, have I just executed a setup that I am used to taking? Yes. Did it not work out? Yeah. But here's the part where I did well. I didn't start sizing into and scaling into a losing trade. I followed my rules and I executed accordingly. I, in live time, was capable of reading price action and executing accordingly, both for invalidation points, take profits, and allowing myself to get stopped out instead of dragging stops and moving things, to try and finesse it to get back to a break even or a winner. And then I didn't immediately try to enter back in after losing. I lost the trade, but I'm going to chalk that up as a win. I minimized risk. So on the trades that you're actually executing and it's working out, are you maximizing or are you doing things that you're not supposed to, like closing early, maybe getting stopped out and then over leveraging the second attempt in order to try and get back to break even or into profit in general? Like all of those little behaviors are what would be considered like doing something wrong, in my opinion. Not following your trading plan, you're not taking playbook opportunities. You're just, this is what it looks like it's going to do and you're executing. Like that's, again, in my opinion, that's an issue. Those are the little behaviors that you're trying to stop out. Once you notice them. Oh, I keep on doing this same exact thing over and over, and I keep losing, and that's what's making me lose money. Maybe I should figure out how to stop that, Dropping down and dropping down, immediately going back into consolidation again. 10:34, we're getting late in the session. They seem to just be shifting and consolidating over and over and over again. This has really been a paint dry sort of session. Y'all have had to just sit here and listen to me ramble for over an hour. Strong off the open, immediately back into consolidation. Whole session. It was a good read, though, honestly. It was a good read. Yeah, I agree, Mr. Mustang. Because it could have... Oh, I just hit my mic. It could have just as easily broke down, because that was my thesis for the day anyways. And we made this lower low, and then we popped back up in a little 1, 2, 3 and engulfed. That's a decent... And not only did it engulf, we broke down. We went sideways for a bar. I can't predict the future. Very well could have broke down and just kept going. And we would have been having a different conversation. Like, oh, look how great this trade was. Same pattern, just didn't follow through. Good stuff. Whew. Boy. Starting to go stir crazy. So I think I talked to everybody about this on Friday. I don't necessarily have I don't say, hey, I'm looking to get a 1 to 3 out of this trade, or 1 to 2 or 1 to 5, whatever it may be. Risk 1 to get 5. I look at my playbook and I say, this is a setup. It has been signaled that this is supposed to be a trade. And then I look at, where am I targeting? So if the target's really far away and I'm able to have a small stop, so making the risk to reward higher, I'd be willing to scale into that trade more because my risk to reward will be greater. And it's a good setup, right? But I don't execute trades based off of necessarily just off of risk to reward. A lot of it's more probability. Is there a strong, yeah, it's a 1 to 2, so maybe it's a little close, but the probability of success is very high. So I'll take that. I'd be happy to do that. I might put less on it. You know, I might run it as a scalp or something like that for like 1-to-1 trades and things like that. But yeah, I don't focus mainly only on risk to reward. I focus a lot on probability of success. Okay, so we got this little lower high put in place here. And maybe this was the first mouse. Maybe I was the first mouse. Are we looking to follow through now? Is it finally going to go? I don't know. I guess we'll find out soon. The only bad thing about this is we have not triggered a previous day's level. Today could just turn into a narrow range day for the Russell. Starting to feel more and more like this is a dookie day. It's not a very good one. Yeah, today might turn into an inside bar. I mean, I have no idea, right? Maybe later in the session or right now, maybe it's starting to follow through, and then we go down to previous day's low. Like, I really don't know, but there's always that probability. And today's Monday; it's the opening range for the week. Maybe today turns into a narrow range Monday. And they've put this wick down here. You better believe they're going to manipulate that wick. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Patience on a ranging day. If you start to spiral on a ranging day, no bueno. Not good. Yeah. No, absolutely, Mustang. I trade after 9:30. Like right at 9:30, I'm allowed to start executing. If there's news at 10, I'm not going to trade before then in most cases. But really that 9:30 to 10:30 window is where I'm looking to execute. 9:30 to 10:30 window is where I'm looking to execute. Like right now it's 10:40. I'm feeling a little itchy. Like I am not an itch to take a trade, an itch to walk away because we've been consolidating for the entire session. Could it break out? Sure. Could it break out right at 11? Sure. In a lot of cases, will it break out this afternoon? Maybe. But Why would I sit around and fatigue myself staring at them bob up and down for hours when I know that there's going to be days where the trade is right at 9:30, I execute, and I'm done? There's no point in waiting around all day. Sebastian, hopefully to see you tomorrow. I'm trying to do these live streams every day. As long as people keep showing up and getting value out of them, I'll keep doing them. And I enjoy doing them. I think they're fun. It's not exactly a ton of work, for me to fire up my computer and throw the stream up on YouTube. Okay, 1 minute price action. Russell. I still got it up on my other screen and I was watching. They started to come back down. Question to myself was and still is, are they going to put in a higher low? We got traders potentially trapped down under P2 in a down move. Are they trapping at the low? Please check your volume for tomorrow. Elliot, you're killing me with this volume. Maybe I just need to open my mouth and speak louder. I might just need to open my mouth and speak louder. That could be it. This mic does have, it has, what is it, like sound canceling. So if I get too far away from it, it's harder to hear. $10.43. This is gross. This is gross. It could go up or it could go down. We're consolidating at a level, but I have no idea. I already know what's going to happen. I'm going to say, hey, everybody, I'm not trading anymore. I'm done for the day. I turn off the stream. 10:55, we get the engulfment, and then you're going to see me in Discord say, well, my bad, guys. I had to take it. Happens every time. So I'm going to wait. I'll wait a little bit longer, okay? We'll get into like the 10:50 area. If there's still nothing around 10:50, 10:55, I'm just going to be done. Pound yen. All right, let's take a look. We're going to go to everything. Pound yen. Go to a 15. So my question to you would be, why do you think it's going? Why do you think it's going up? All right, so we zoom out a little bit, and we've got 3 days breakouts, inside bar, follow through breakout day, making higher highs. We broke down, and we broke out of a previous day's low. So my question would be, what, based off of these last 3 days, would have told you that? I don't have any signal day. And in fact, we actually have a market that is potentially breaking down. It's broken out to the downside. So it would be hard for me to say that that's what I should be looking for. Do you understand what I'm saying? This could be a breakdown. This could be a lower low. This turns into a 3-day setup where they pop it back up. Maybe tomorrow's an inside day, and then we get the rollover. Remember, it's all about templates. It's not about, oh, we're at the low of the week, and they've made a higher high. I mean, maybe. But what 3-day setup would you be taking? That's the big thing for me. Look at this. They don't want to give it up. They don't want to give it up. They've got a 15-minute bar down close right at the open. And they've got all of these bars, 15, 30, 45, an hour. We haven't closed any lower than that bar's low in an hour. pretty much everything's doing that. Oh, no bueno. And on top of everything, I'm extremely hydrated. Oh, yeah, my pleasure. My pleasure. Oh, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. I'm telling you, the moment I get off of this thing, we're going to get follow through, or we're going to get a strong reversal that we could have sat through and read together. But it's 10:47. We're getting up into that 10:50 time. I think I'm going to dip out myself and hopefully come in throughout this week. Like I said, I'm going to be doing these streams each day. So I'll see you all throughout this week. All right, you all have a great rest of your day. And hopefully we get into some better trades this week. All right, see you later.